Will the collapse of the Russian ruble lead to an economic crisis in the United States? It would seem that the ruble is not such a valuable currency for the United States, but if you delve into the Russian economy, you will understand why it affects the entire US economy. The impact of the ruble on the US economy can be observed through various channels. Fluctuations in the ruble exchange rate can affect the US economy in the following ways. Trade. Changes in the exchange rate between the ruble and the US dollar may affect the value of Russian imports and exports. The weakening of the ruble makes Russian goods cheaper for American consumers, but it can also affect the competitiveness of American exports to Russia. Energy prices. Russia is a major exporter of natural resources, including oil and gas. Fluctuations in the ruble exchange rate can affect global energy prices, thereby affecting the US economy through changes in the cost of energy. Investment. Fluctuations in the ruble exchange rate may affect investment flows between the United States and Russia. Changes in the currency valuation may affect the attractiveness of Russian assets to American investors and vice versa, affecting capital flows and investment decisions. Geopolitical consequences. Political and economic developments in Russia may have broader implications for global economic stability and investor sentiment, thereby indirectly affecting the US economy. Currency exchange rate. Although the ruble is not the main reserve currency, its exchange rate can affect global financial markets and foreign exchange transactions. A change in the ruble exchange rate may affect U.S. exports and imports, as well as investments and portfolio operations. Thus, the value of the ruble may have implications for U.S. trade, energy markets, investment decisions, and broader geopolitical factors that collectively affect the U.S. economy. And here are real examples of how the ruble has affected the U.S. economy. The fall of the ruble in 2014. As a result of the decrease in the value of the Russian currency, export goods from Russia have become cheaper for American consumers. This led to an increase in imports from Russia, which affected the competitiveness of local producers in the United States. Sanctions against Russia. Against a background of increased geopolitical tensions and the imposition of U.S. sanctions against Russia in 2014-2018, the ruble further depreciated. This has hit the Russian economy and some Russian companies, which has led to a decrease in their income and activities, as well as limited access of Russian companies to the American market. Oil prices. The ruble has a close relationship with oil prices, as Russia is one of the world's largest oil producers. During periods of falling oil prices, the ruble declines, which makes Russian oil exploration more competitive in the market. This may affect American producers who compete with lower oil prices from Russia. Import and export. The ruble exchange rate has a direct impact on the volume of imports and exports between the United States and Russia. If the ruble depreciates significantly, then Russian goods become cheaper for American consumers, which may lead to an increase in imports from Russia. On the other hand, for American exporters, the ruble devaluation makes their goods more expensive on the Russian market, which may lead to a decrease in exports to Russia. The United States is a great power, which also has a very powerful economy. It costs nothing for our economy to break the Russian economy, but if it were profitable, the government would have done it a long time ago, but for now we can only observe small conflicts that partially block oxygen to Russia and its economy, but if we do it at the global level, the US economy will suffer no less. The ruble exchange rate may fall due to US sanctions for several reasons. Restriction of access to financial markets. Sanctions may lead to restrictions on access of Russian companies and banks to international financial markets, which may reduce demand for the ruble and increase its decline. Restriction of foreign trade operations. Sanctions may restrict or prohibit the foreign trade operations of Russian companies, especially in relation to prohibited or restricted goods and services. This may lead to a reduction in exports and a decrease in the income of the Russian economy, which in turn may affect the ruble exchange rate. Negative external image. Sanctions can create a negative impression among foreign investors and consumers about the Russian economy, which leads to a deterioration in confidence in Russian assets and a decrease in demand for the ruble. Economic consequences of sanctions. Sanctions can negatively affect the Russian economy as a whole, worsening the conditions for development and growth. This may lead to a decrease in investments, an increase in inflation and uncertainty, which may affect the ruble exchange rate. In general, U.S. sanctions may create uncertainty in the market and reduce the attractiveness of the Russian economy, which may contribute to a fall in the ruble exchange rate. What is the threat to the U.S. economy from Russia? Here are some examples for you. Sanctions. Russia has the ability to impose economic sanctions on the United States, such as restricting imports of goods or reducing energy exports. This could seriously affect sectors of the U.S. economy, such as agriculture, the automotive and energy industries. Energy dependence. Russia is one of the leading suppliers of oil and gas to the United States. If restrictions are imposed or supplies are reduced, the United States may face a shortage of energy resources, which will lead to an increase in energy prices and negatively affect the economy. Cyber attacks and hacking. Russian hackers and cybercriminals can carry out cyber attacks on American companies and government agencies. This can cause significant financial losses for the United States, as well as negatively affect the privacy and security of personal data of citizens. Competition in the global market. Russia is one of the largest exporters of oil, gas and other resources. This creates competition for the United States in the global energy market. If Russia increases the volume of exports or offers more attractive conditions, this may lead to a decrease in demand for American products and have a negative impact on the U.S. economy. The instability of the geopolitical situation. Russia is an important participant in many international conflicts and disputes. This can create uncertainty and instability in regions that are important to U.S. economic interests, such as Europe and the Middle East. Uncertainty and instability in these regions can negatively affect global trade and lead to economic losses for the United States. The United States cannot directly influence the ruble exchange rate, as it depends on many factors, including the economic situation and international relations of Russia, as well as the supply and demand for rubles in the world currency markets. However, the United States may take measures that may affect the ruble exchange rate indirectly. Economic sanctions. The United States may impose economic sanctions against Russia, which may affect investor confidence and lead to a depreciation of the ruble. International trade relations. The United States may increase its trade with Russia, which may affect the ruble exchange rate, depending on the demand for rubles. Financial assistance. The United States can provide financial assistance to Russia, which can strengthen the Russian economy and, consequently, raise the ruble exchange rate. However, it should be noted that even if the United States takes these measures, the ruble exchange rate will still depend on. In general, conflicts between the United States and Russia are caused by a complex combination of factors, including geopolitical interests, ideological differences, competition for resources and influence, geostrategic balance and political differences. All these factors affect both the ruble exchange rate and the dollar exchange rate. Russia and the United States are two great powers that have to some extent a strong and not always stable economy, and they influence each other very much. But people have different opinions, and I would like to hear your opinion in the comments to this video. Do not forget to write it, and also share this video with to all the skeptics who think that Russia has no effect on the United States and its economy. Thank you all for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel.